Hello and welcome to the Cause Cafe, a place where you'll learn how to effectively and successfully market your nonprofit in a digital world. Melanie and Christine are serving up fresh ideas to help you build and energize donors and volunteers.
Good morning. This is Christine Bowman. Melanie's laughing at me because I just got through saying that I read that you're not supposed to say this is, you're supposed to say, I am Christine Bowman with the Cause Cafe, and I'm here with my sidekick,
Melanie Masiki.
And we welcome you to our podcast today. This episode is on live video. Do you have a name for it?
I chose Live Video 101 for today's nonprofit.
Perfect.
Sounds fancy.
Sounds fancy, and it says it all.
It does.
So stay tuned, and we'll be right with you. This show is sponsored by Fix Your Brand, the DIY brand workshop that you can download. It's fun, it's easy, it's affordable. So go to our website at thecausecafe.com and you'll get a link, and we'll also have that information in the show notes. Well, to get started today, I decided to ask Melanie a question. And this is my big burning question for the week. Melanie, if you could tell nonprofit marketers 3 things that they must add to their marketing strategies in 2018, what would they be?
What would they be? Okay, 3 things. I think the first one, and it's absolutely key, it's what got me hung up when I started with the nonprofit that I'm at now, is database and database segmentation. You've got to know where people are coming from and at what stage in the journey they are at right now, so that you can put strategies towards moving them to that next stage. For example, if someone comes in as a volunteer, the end game is ideally you want them to be a recurring donor at the end of the day. So if we don't know where they're at, we can't move them along through that funnel. We call it a funnel, but through that process. So having that foundation set up is key. So I would put a lot of resources and time into that before you do anything else marketing-wise, because you don't have the information to move forward with any type of strategy if you don't know where people are coming from and where they're at in their journey. So that'd be number 1.
All right. Yeah. And, and in order to speak to them, probably through email, because they're your database, or newsletters, which is, I guess, still digital and email, you do need to know where they're at. You need to know who you have, and you need to even, make sure that those emails are solid, that you've got accurate information, because I imagine when you got started with your nonprofit, you went in and there were a lot of emails that were bounce backs, that weren't accurate. You didn't have the right information.
Oh, exactly. We're actually putting in the process now of starting that email segmentation process. It's taking me almost a year to get to that point because there was no database foundation set up. Like, there was a lot of cleanup. So don't be disappointed or frustrated if that's your case. The time spent fixing that and setting up that foundation literally will be the difference of your marketing being successful in the future or not. So if you need to invest the time and money to do so, that's the priority.
Okay, great. So number 1 then is your database management. And what's number 2?
Website optimization. You've got to be mobile friendly. And that doesn't mean you can pull your website up on your phone. It means when they pull it up on their phone, is it mobile friendly? Are the links in the right spot? Can you see everything on one page, or do you have to scroll right and left? All of that matters. You are competing against a lot of other causes and nonprofits and a lot of other attention. People don't have the time, and if it takes 2 seconds too long, then they're gone and they're
out of there.
Yep.
All right.
It's too much of a hassle. They just won't do it.
So make sure your website's optimized, that it looks good, that there's no broken links, that the images are sized correctly, and that it is mobile friendly.
And on a side note, we actually had this happen to us this week. We had changed one of the donor forms because we were redoing a lot of the stuff and capturing that information. So we segmented which donor form someone landed on would let us know where they came from. And in one of the forms just didn't create it, and we didn't realize that in the box where it said, is your mailing address the same as your billing address or whatever, it was automatically checked. But for some reason, it was asking the donor to put in the information again, and it wouldn't go through it, even though the box was automatically checked. So one of our regular donors was so sweet. She sent us an email and said, hey, I noticed this is happening. Not a big deal for me, but it might throw some people off. And sure enough, it exactly does. So even extra clicks will cause your bounce rate to go up. So if someone gives you that feedback, get on it, one, but two, know that that is a real thing. If it's even a teeny bit too much of a hassle, people will say, never mind, I'll do it later. And we all know later never comes.
Right.
So that's
too many other things. All right. Yeah. So we have number 1, database management. Number 2, website optimization. What's number 3? What is the third thing everyone should be focusing on
and
now?
The third thing is what this whole episode is about, is live streaming and video is the future. You heard it here first, folks. Maybe not, but we're going to reiterate that, yes, that is where marketing is going. You cannot avoid it any longer, period.
And do you have some statistics that can back that up?
Coming out of social media marketing world, obviously that was the whole focus, was video and episodic video and how to utilize video and how to make video. And so the statistics that we heard over and over again is 82% of all web traffic will be video by 2020. What really shocked me at that, you guys, is that's 3 years from now. That's a blink in the eye, flash in the pan.
Mm-hmm. So exactly.
We don't have time. We don't have 3 years to figure it out. We need to get on it now. Like 3 years from now, everyone's going to be doing it so much better than you. So start now.
Right. And our future episodes will include, step by steps. We're going to break some things down for you. We can't do all of it in one podcast because you will want to poke your eyes out with a dirty stick. It'll be painful because it's just too much information and too much to absorb. So we will be breaking it down for you in future episodes and helping you actually understand what you need to do and how to get started.
Right. It was, in putting this show together, you guys, it was kind of difficult for us. There's so much that we want to share, but we also want to keep it high level and things and tips that you're able to do right now, because I think if we share too much, it might become overwhelming and then you'll put it off. So we're really trying to keep this information, again, like I said, high level. If there's questions that you have about stuff that we cover or you want us to dig in a little bit more deeper, just let us know and we can do that. And that gives us ideas for future episodes as well about which parts of it you really want us to get into. But just know for today's show, we are going to keep this a little bit higher level.
Right. And so direct those questions and to our email address, which is meetme@thecausecafe.com. Yes,
taking a little drink there. Take a
sip of tea.
So just some other things that in the conference that were kind of things that I wrote down as far as what the trends are coming up. Expect stories to overtake the posts in feeds across all platforms. So if you're on Instagram stories, Facebook has their own Facebook Watch. Those are not, you don't necessarily have to have video type posts, but video and especially live video will still continue to get the most reach right now. And that is to be expected because the direction that all of this is going is to promoting the live video. People's attention spans are getting even shorter. I think it was 7 seconds last year. It's 6 seconds this year. We already lost our second, people. So that's why that's getting the furthest reach. Also, they give tips on repurposing the best sections of your live video. So if you're doing a longer video, make sure that we're repurposing that and going through and taking out the nuggets out of that and making those smaller clips that you can use on other platforms. So for example, if you did the video on YouTube, which is actually recommended for the highest video quality, little side note tip there, then you can take portions of that where people really engaged or people really commented or connected with and make those little clips for LinkedIn or for Facebook or for Instagram. Instagram, you can have 15 seconds, just a little bit shorter. So so that time that you're spending recording, you're able to use it in multiple different ways. And you could have, a 15-minute video and get, 5, 6, 7, 8 little clips out of there to be able to use. if you really wanted to.
And how would someone get those clips? Like, what are they going to do? Is that something we want to cover in a future episode? But
yes, probably to get more in depth. You could learn it. You could do it. There's software available. I think from the nonprofit aspect, the biggest situation is time. At least that's what I run into.
Yes.
I know how to do all this stuff. I don't have the time unless I was 24/7 working on this stuff all the time.
And right now you're just 20. You're just 26.
Yeah, we need an actual life, so we get that. So literally the biggest suggestion we heard over and over again was outsource. Go to Fiverr, go to Upworks, go find somebody that will do it for very inexpensively. You're probably going to have to go through a couple of them to get the quality that you want,
right?
But it's worth the time to pay the $25 or the $50 or whatever and have it done. And then it gets done, because not doing it, we're not getting anywhere. So it's going to cost you a little bit, which really, it's not a whole lot of money. I mean,
right.
We're struggling just like every other nonprofit, but in the reality of it, what I'm going to get back from that is invaluable. So it's worth just spending the time. And maybe that's all you do this year. Maybe you don't do any Facebook advertising. You say, this year, we're just going to focus on getting these clips of content to be able to use. And you invest your money there.
I think that's an excellent suggestion, because we do know, been on the front lines. I remember Melanie's still doing it day to day, but I remember just not even being able to breathe some days, because there's just so much detail and so many meetings and so many things to take care of and callbacks, that we don't want you to feel like we're adding one more thing to your plate. But if you have to drop another marketing strategy to do video, you need to drop the strategy, because you've got to get a handle on this and you've got to do it now. Like, don't wait.
And here's the thing. If I was in the position, as you were talking, I just thought about this. If I was in the position that I had to choose between the monthly newsletter, which we do it kind of like a newspaper, there's different sections that we have to come up with content for, or spending that time doing videos and getting them cut down, I would dump the newsletter in a heartbeat. Like that for me, that's what I would do. So that's how important it is, because of the direction where things are going. I can't guarantee that people are going to keep reading email. I can't guarantee I'm going to have a 46% email open rate next year. But I can tell you, based on what I'm already seeing with our donors and supporters, that they are loving the video. And we're using video in multiple ways, not just on Facebook. We're using it in personalized thank yous. Like, we're doing a bunch of things with it, and they love it.
Not only do they love it, how many of your donors, your database recipients who receive your email, share your newsletter? None.
I'm going to say none.
None. How many share your video? It's shareable content, and that's exactly what you want to improve your reach and get more people interested in what you're doing and your cause and why it's important.
So here's another little thing that happened this week. So when I came back from the conference, you guys, I was fired up on video. I was like, how can we use video more? Like I said, I'm in a time crunch. So I was looking at different software programs. There was a lot of things that were suggested. But when your mind's already in that space a little bit, I think you automatically become a little bit more creative and start thinking a little bit more outside of the box. So here's the thing: Facebook fundraisers. We had been working probably ever since I've been there to really encourage people to have Facebook fundraisers. So we started with doing a video, here's how you set it up. And I was like, oh, that's going to be the end all be all, and everyone's going to do a Facebook birthday fundraiser. Okay, that didn't happen. However, each time we had one, we get a little bit better. So when I was gone for the conference, we had two that were running at the same time. And they're usually small, like $200. They're trying to raise $200. Up until this week. So those ended up, and I don't think either of them closed out at their $200 goals. And for that one, because I was headed to the conference, I just did a little graphic that had one of our little residents with a little picture over her face, and we made it look like a birthday card that said happy birthday to the people, and just as a thank you. And here I'm thinking, ooh, we're rocking it. We're giving them a personalized thank you in their little fundraiser. So those closed while I'm at the social media conference. Two more fundraisers are started, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. We just had two closed. Now we have two more. And so now I'm thinking, how can I do this better? So now I went to my team and I said, listen, I have this crazy idea and I need your help. So it's not just me. And they're like, okay.
She has a good team.
Yeah, they're amazing. And so I'm going to go to the Dollar Tree and I'm going to go buy a bunch of like props. Like we bought the boas and the hats and the eyeglasses so everyone can hide their faces because I'm about ready to embarrass them. And we shot a happy birthday video for each of those ladies. So one was Dee Dee and one was Fabiola. And we did personalized, saying them happy birthday and thank them for their fundraiser. And let me tell you the difference, guys, because we went into that group. They were both probably around $20 or $50. So we're about a week in now. They both now have exceeded their $200 goal already. We still have a week to go. And that's the only difference. The only difference is we went in there and sang happy birthday and uploaded it. And people were like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. So then after we got that response, I'm thinking, how can we do these better? So besides the video, I'm actually assigning a person when we have those fundraisers that are going on. Because you can go in the fundraiser and you can thank every single one of those donors. It will say Johnny donated, Sarah donated. And before I was just liking them, but now I'm going in there and we're going to have someone assign that says, thank you for your donation, you're impacting families, like every touch, because all of this just snowballs.
Absolutely. And, we were having a moment while she was talking. We were both getting teary-eyed because it's amazing. The power of video, and especially live video.
And personalized.
Yeah.
Personalized. Like, who does that? No one sings you happy birthday when you raise funds for them. Like, I want to be the trailblazer.
Yeah.
That she goes out and tells all her friends, do you know what they did for me when I did a fundraiser? They sang me happy birthday.
Right. It's just, what a wonderful idea. Way to go.
It was genius.
It was
a moment of brilliance, and we just went with it.
That's awesome. All right, well, do you have any more statistics, or should we move forward?
I did not have any more statistics per se, but I thought you had a couple.
Do.
So why don't you pop those in there?
These are a couple that were actually surprised me. The first one is that live video content delivers a 94% completion rate. Now, I don't know if that's a 15-minute video or a 4-minute video. Didn't say in this research-based little nugget that I found. But 94% completion rate, that is so much higher than I ever imagined, meaning that if someone starts watching a video, 94% of people are going to complete it. They're going to watch the entire message, which is critical because we're going to get into CTAs, call to actions, and how important they are in video. So you want them to watch the entire video because you need to repeat your CTA a number of times throughout your video without sounding salesy. And there's some ways to do that.
So on your little thing about the length of video, I did hear statistics in one of the classes that they are finding right now on YouTube between 14 and 18 minutes is the sweet spot right now for length of video, which is a little bit longer than typically. Facebook's different, so that statistic was specifically for YouTube, but just a food for thought. That's the sweet spot right now.
Thank you. The second little bit of research information that I found, it came from an analysis that Life Marketing did, and advertising on social media. So using live video, Facebook advertising, just basically advertising in any way, shape, or form, is 23 times less expensive than email newsletters. That's huge. I know your budgets are already spread thin, so why not spend it where you're going to maximize your efforts, and that is going to be in social media with video and live video. So 23 times less expensive than email or other traditional forms of advertising, and about 10 times cheaper than television. So if you are going to jump on this bandwagon, and we highly suggest that you do, if you're using live video frequently, you will be able to keep your audiences, your donors, your prospects, everyone updated at a really low cost.
And I want to kind of go back to that, because maybe if you're like me and you hear that statistic, she told me this before the show, but my brain didn't process it, so it's turned on now. And my immediate thought was, well, how can that be? How can it be less expensive than email? Email costs me nothing. And you know what it is? It's the time involved. It's the payroll that you're going to spend on someone creating that content. When instead of typing it all out and editing it and having everyone say on it, you're literally just popping up your camera and you're saying it. Right. It's done in, a minute and a half rather than 3 days of trying to put that newsletter together. So it's not necessarily the cost that you're spending per to send the email. It's the time that you're investing in creating that.
And I also think it's the time and money required to acquire your database. It takes, as you know,
And nurture.
yes, and nurture them, significant amount of resources.
Yes.
In order to get that. So it's not just email, it's all traditional forms of marketing and communications, but email was listed here with the statistic.
I love it. Okay, so I know you're sitting there asking yourself, how do I get started, Melanie and Christine? And we have you. We've got you
Help
right
us.
here. Yes. So the first thing, and this was, again, multiple speakers were talking about this, begin with the end in mind. And I know it's a fine balance we're going to ask you to walk here, because we don't want you to get analysis paralysis. I am famous for that.
I'm not.
Overanalyze it until I'm not doing anything. So we don't want you to get that, but do have an end in mind. And the end is just, what is it do you want your viewers to do? And maybe you just want your viewers to know more about what you do so that they can connect with you. It doesn't always have to be, well, I want them to subscribe to our newsletter. It doesn't have to be a hard, physical asking them to do something. Maybe you just want to get the word out that you accept donations on Saturdays, or, like physically do items that are dropped off. Or it could be something as simple as that. It doesn't have to be a big ask. And don't go for this, especially if you're just starting, and ask for the donation. Okay, that's not what we're saying here. Okay, there's a time and a place for that, and that ask is earned over time. Not, we're going to do live video and every day we're going to ask people to donate money to us. No, that's not going to work.
Big no. Thank you.
You are going to burn people faster than you ever even thought possible. So that's not what we're saying, but just have an idea in mind of what it is that you want the viewers to do. And maybe it's just share the word.
And Melanie has a list of ideas for you as we move on. It'll also be in the show notes of what do I talk about?
Right.
And how often should they be doing a live video?
Right.
We'll cover that.
Yes. So the second tip is outline your content. Do not script it. For the love of all things holy, do not read it, and don't put it behind your computer and read it, because people can tell that you're reading, and that's not authentic. It's not transparent. It's not real. Okay, we're trying to connect to the people, so it's okay if you mess up.
Right. In fact, the more mistakes you make, we've learned this.
Yes.
The more you make a mistake and stumble over your words, or maybe your lighting's not as good as you thought it would be.
Maybe you turn blue halfway through the podcast when you're recording video.
It's okay. The more mistakes you make, the better people respond to that, because they see that you're real. And as we become more technical and so far removed from each other as human beings, people are craving that. They want to know that you're a real person and you're dealing with real issues and struggles, and that life's not perfect. And if they see that you're not perfect, guess what? They connect with you.
And I think too, on the nonprofit side, I think there's the need, I feel this, and maybe it's because I came from the outside into the nonprofit, but I feel like this overwhelming need to project that everything's perfect and you have it all together, and you're like running, you're running everything because you're so worried about the donors thinking you're not handling their money. You know what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely.
And don't buy into that, because that could also, being able to perfectly walk that line and look like you have it all together and you guys are just awesome and amazing and perfect at everything. As a donor, I think they don't really need my money. I'm going to find someone that's really struggling and I can really make an impact with my donation.
That is such an excellent point. We ran into that at the Tyler Robinson Foundation, because we have a Grammy Award-winning band that, co-founded the nonprofit, and everything we did, we tried to make sure that it was polished and spit shined so that people would say, oh yeah, that's a representation of Imagine Dragons. This is a representation of a world-class nonprofit, and totally did that. And I can't tell you how many times I received emails, or when I met people in person, they would say, oh my gosh, we love your cause, but you don't really need our help. You've got Imagine Dragons. Why do you need our money? Why do you need our help? Well, it couldn't have been further from the truth because of...
Yes. And again, that's because somehow in that messaging and presenting that, you have removed the donor from the story. The donor has to be the hero. They have to know that you need them, and without them you can't do what it is. Oh my God, what it is that you're doing. And so if there's no need for them, they'll go find a place where they know they're needed.
Exactly.
So don't ever forget that. So in a moment where you're like, oh my gosh, we're a hot mess, better, that's awesome, put that out there.
It's okay,
because everyone likes to help a hot mess, right?
Yeah, and don't be afraid to learn as you go.
Right.
That's what we do every day with our podcast. I mean, we also will be branching into more live video, and we're just figuring it out.
Yeah, and we're also seeing where it goes.
Yeah,
that's kind of your journey too. Like, see where it goes, see what resonates with people, and you're not going to know that without trying a few things that fail, and that's fine. Yeah. All right, moving on. Let people know you're going live. Again, this is probably after, you've done a few and you kind of got it under your belt and you're like, all right, what's the next step type deal? You can start letting people know that you're going live, and you had mentioned like how many times. So maybe you go live every Tuesday at 2, and that's on your newsletter. I'm very protective with the email list, again, with ours, because we have a really high open rate still. So I would never send out a thing saying, oh, reminder, we're going live in an hour. Mm-hmm. I don't do that. That might work for you. I don't know. You're going to have to try and see. But I would put it in the newsletter. I would maybe even create an event on Facebook so that people get a reminder or notification. And then there's additional strategies that we learned about using bots, where people could actually RSVP through the chat bot, and then it would remind them. That's way high level stuff, so I don't want to get too far into it, but you can literally get to that point where it's actually lead generation for you, these live videos. So, but the key is just once you get it under your belt and kind of know a little bit about what you're doing, make sure you let people know so that they can tune in.
It's such a simple step, and one that actually never occurred to me until just recently. That you can hop on and just do your little live thing, but you can tell people in advance. There's actually even time countdown counters that you can attach to your right before you go live, that counts down on your Facebook page. Correct?
Yeah,
Facebook.
Yeah, you actually set it up through Facebook, and it's in the developer tools. I have to do some research because I haven't done it in a while, where it actually sends out a notification and people can kind of RSVP to it. And then when you go live, it will notify them on their device, like, hey, the Cost Cafe is going live in 5 minutes, or the Cost Cafe just went live, click the link to join. And you can do that. So when you get super techie and on it, look into that, because that's a really easy way for people to, tap them and be like, oh yeah, it's now.
I love it.
I have to take a break. Time to get coffee. Also, another tip is complete your title, descriptions, links, tags, and thumbnail before you go live. Again, I think this is another one that after you get a few under your belt, that would be a good thing to do. I wouldn't allow that to stop you just from going live, especially in the beginning, so that you can get the wiggles out and the nerves out. Because that could be analysis paralysis. You could be stuck on that graphic for a week and still not done a live video.
Actually, I would say the first couple of videos you do, have your objective, know what your end is, and create just the name of it. And if you have a call to action, what that is, and then just figure out your background. And you just kind of look and see. We're in the kitchen today.
Yes, but we're in the kitchen with the Cost Cafe.
You're just going to just frame that, and then just go. Just do it.
Right. Just push the dang button.
Push that dang button.
Yeah, we heard that in one of the shows. That needs to be a t-shirt or something. Just push the dang button. Okay, so going live. I loved this because this is the stuff that I don't think about. Like when other people do it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so smart. Why didn't I think of that? But it's like so simple and so obvious, you just don't catch it. So this is something, and if you watched or listened to my last one that I did about my little takeaways from the conference, I actually did it, and I was so proud of myself. So when you start, number one, and this was a pet peeve of the speaker, and it's so a pet peeve of mine too. I actually ran into this last night, and it ticked me off. Start talking right when you go live. Don't think you're so important that you're like, oh, I'm going to wait for a few more people to get on because you just told the person that's on that they're not enough. I need more people. So number one, just start talking, just start going. Because the other thing is the algorithm is weighted heavier in the beginning too. So if you have that one person was on and you were waiting for two, or I don't know what you were waiting for, and then that person drops off, Facebook was just like, oh, this is a dud, and it's not going to push it out there for you because you already lost the one person that should have been important enough to start talking to. So just go right into talking. But the key is, and this was the copy that he gave us, was you just start out. So we go live, and then you start out by saying, welcome to the replay. My name is whatever your name is, and today we're talking about whatever you're talking about. And I thought, how powerful is that? Because first of all, if you've ever seen a live or been on a live, like once you get on, that's the first millisecond. No one ever catches that because it's still like, oh, she's going live and pushing it out there. So by the time people pop on, you're already past that part. But every single person that watches it after that is going to see that part first. So it's so powerful to just say, hey, welcome to the replay. And I'm just like, oh my God, it's brilliant.
Yes, it is.
So I just loved that. I can't talk about that. And again, I can't believe I didn't think about that. But sometimes somebody just has to say it to me. And then I'm like, oh yeah, okay, genius. The second thing, and again, part of this is to trick the algorithm, is to ask a simple question early. So like, can you hear me okay? So can you hear me okay? And then people that are on there will be like, yes, or ask them, can you hit the like button or the love button if you can hear me okay? So yes, you do want to make sure that they can hear you, because I've been on lives where like, there's no sound, like we can't hear you, you know, and you need to know that. But two, having those responses very early in the live, again, tells the Facebook algorithm or even the YouTube algorithm, whatever the algorithm is, it's telling them, hey, people are engaging in this. This is hot right now. And if there's nothing else going on, you're really going to get somewhere, especially in YouTube. So that was very key. And one thing I was sharing with Christine was in Amy Porterfield's presentation, she really talked about being transparent and vulnerable.
Sorry. We love you, Amy Porterfield.
We do. She was adorable. Like whatever you think about her on camera, in person, you just fall in love with her. So sweet. She must have been out there for 2 hours at least talking to people after her presentation. Like she literally did not leave until she talked to everybody that wanted to talk to her. Like just adorable. So anyway, if you're not following her, she's amazing. Follow her. But one of her things that she said is she always has someone else, a member of her staff, on the live with her. So they don't have to be in the same room, but they're always that first viewer. So that's the person that she's talking to. So she doesn't pay attention to how many little eyeballs or numbers. She's always talking to someone, and in her mind, she's talking to that person. Also, that person is in communication with her if there is any real technical difficulties. So that person will text her, like thumbs up on the audio, or you look great, or adjust the camera, or whatever. And so she has like a partner in crime going live. So she's like, I always just feel like I have my buddy there with me. And I was like, how smart is that? Right? So if you're terrified, so they could be in the room with you, or they can, be somewhere else, but you know that they're there. So you're just talking to that person. So someone that you're comfortable with. So I absolutely loved that little tip, especially if you're nervous in the beginning. And she still does that today. So it's not like, oh, she's made it. No, that's like her go-to. Like, that's what makes her feel comfortable.
It's a great idea.
I loved it. Okay, this was hilarious. Okay, in case of emergency, flip the screen so it's not on you.
So you've got your smartphone up, right? And something happens.
Yeah, you just reverse it. So you're now looking at wherever the heck that you are. So Alex Kahn was telling this hilarious story about, he thought it would be really cool. I think he was leaving like Dubai or something. He thought there was kind of a sunset and I was flying out, and my whole vision was I was going to take this live video as the plane was like taking off. So they get to the runway and he goes live, and he saw the plane went dark. And they sat there on the tarmac for like 15 minutes, you guys, in the dark. It was a black screen, okay? And he just kept talking to people and picking up the conversations around him. And he said that was one of the best videos that he has out there. And he's like a mega superstar video guy. And it was literally people looking at a black screen the entire time. Well, people didn't drop off. More people got on. Because could you imagine? People were like, what the heck am I watching? Like, what is going on? So
when's the light going to come on?
So don't panic was what I got out of that. So if there's something going on and I don't know, something bad happens in the background or whatever, in the case of emergency, he just said, flip the screen.
And give him a tour.
And keep talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. So funny. And then also the last thing, again, remember how we talked about begin with the ending in mind, is make sure that you're closing with a purpose. He actually gains most of his followers in the closing, and it's because of how he does it. So again, he asks for questions. So we kind of mentioned that in the beginning. Have some questions ready, questions that you think would be logical for people to ask based on what it is that you're talking about. And just in case you don't have anybody, you guys, because it happens. You could go live and no one ever gets on. It's okay. You could go live and one person gets on and then they fall off and you immediately think, well, I guess I'm irrelevant.
No.
But no, it just, who knows? It was a drive-by. It happens.
And it's evergreen, right?
Yes.
So it's up forever. That's why we talk about it being a replay.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if 0 people tune in. It really doesn't.
And have that in your mind. This isn't for right now. This isn't for how many people get on live. It's for, I'm going to be using this content long term. Think long game.
Yes.
So have those questions prepared, and you can just, preface that by, we often get asked, and then just start going through your questions. It doesn't have to be like, oh, Sarah from Kansas just asked us. It doesn't need to be that great. Just go through the common questions that you always get asked. And maybe that's the reason you're doing that video. Maybe you're tired of answering the same stinking questions all the time. Perfect reason.
And those questions, I would imagine, are tied into the topic of whatever your live video is. It's just not random questions. It needs to be relevant to your topic.
Yes, exactly. Very key. That would be weird. Don't be weird. So ask for questions. He says you always want to recap at the end, because remember, especially if you're live, people are going to be popping on at different times. So you can recap at the end. Hey, if you didn't catch us at the very beginning, these are some of the things that we went over. So you might want to go back and watch the beginning so that you catch those tips. What have you just trained them to do? Go back and watch it again. And repeat viewership is weighed very heavy on Facebook right now. If someone watches your video more than once, holy cow, that's like, boom, that's the icing on the cake right there. So, have them go back and watch the beginning or refer to something in the beginning. Introduce your next show or the next time that you're going to be live. Maybe you don't know the topic, but you can tell them, hey, next Tuesday, meet us right back here at 10 o'clock. We're going to have another topic, or we're going to take you in another place behind the scenes, So even if you don't know exactly what you're going to be doing, give them a teaser so that they know this is a regular thing. I need to adjust my schedule. Yeah, plant the seed. Ask them for the follow, the like, the subscribe. You guys, you have to tell people. They're not thinking about any of that. So
they don't. First of all, they don't understand how the algorithm works,
or the importance of it,
or why it's so critical to your success. So you are going to have to make an ask.
Yeah. So ask them, and just tell them, hey, make sure you don't miss the next episode. You want to follow us, or like our page so that you know what's going on. Give them a reason to, and then make sure you thank them for watching. You guys, they just took time out of their day to tune into you, so thank them. Let them know that you see them and you appreciate that they spent that few minutes with you to listen to what you had to say.
Key.
All right. So we also put a bunch of ideas of things to go live. So I'm actually going to let Christine cover a bunch of these. I've been talking your ears off right now.
Okay, sure. All right. So what do you talk about? Easy peasy. Your nonprofit story is always at the top of the list, and there are multiple stories within stories. So it's not just, here's our mission statement. It's what's happening in people's lives because of what you do. How did you affect change? Why do you do what you do? And so you can just break that down into multiple stories, which goes into the very next line on Melanie's bullet pointed list. Stories. They're just, I would take a day with key staff members and map out every story that you can think of so that you have, Melanie calls it a parking lot, but a parking lot of ideas and stories up on a whiteboard.
And on that note, every person is a story, and every person is probably multiple stories. Whether that's a team member, whether that's a volunteer, whether that's a donor, whether that's a community partner, every single person, not just them as a whole, not just volunteers, like each person has a why that they volunteered their time or their talents or chose to work with them. So each of those is a story. Not everyone's going to be willing to share that with you, but it's your job to find the ones that will.
Good. Q&A. So we already covered that. I know you get asked a lot of questions. Use those use that time to cover the answers to those questions. Same with basically FAQs. Is that the same thing? Q&A and FAQs?
I think Q&A, they're talking more about a live Q&A. So going live, saying, hey, we're going to have a Q&A session. If you have questions about our nonprofit and what we're doing or how we're using funds, we're going to have a town hall of sorts on this day at this time. This is going to be your opportunity to ask all the questions you want. So
more
like
interactive. Yes, more interactive. I love it. Mm-hmm. All right, anything that's behind the scenes, people, everyone wants to be an insider. They want to know what's happening and what the real scoop is. That's your chance to do that. You can go do tours. We talked about, it'd be kind of fun just to set up a camera in a meeting. Right. A short meeting and let people have a view of what you're talking about and some of the issues and challenges you have. Now, I know there's probably some sensitive information, so you're going to have to be careful with that, but I think maybe really interesting.
Maybe it's an event planning meeting. It doesn't have to be like where you're discussing financials or anything like that.
Or individuals.
I'm going to call that the fly on the wall strategy.
Ooh, yeah. Very good.
Don't be talking to the camera. Just have it in the background. Amy actually Porterfield, again, uses that as a strategy to move people from one platform to another. So she'll go live on one platform, and then she'll have the camera set up like from the side over here doing her makeup on another platform, and then she will turn them to say, hey, if you want the full show, like where she's looking at you, you need to come over and get live over here. So she uses that to direct people. I thought that was super interesting.
Smart.
Right? I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not there yet, but I'm going to write that down in the parking lot.
That is great.
Yeah.
Anything that's a launch or a sneak peek of an event, a fundraiser, gala, new staff member, anything, you could we're just going to let you in on a little secret.
Right.
Contests, donor stories, or surveys, we talked about stories already. So you can do surveys in a live. Those are easy to do and fun to do. Mm-hmm. You can interview people, just like you're the host and you're going to ask questions, and people who you're interviewing will be on the screen with you and they'll answer those questions. Those are always great. Breaking news, anything that's just happened new that you want people to know about. Any how-tos, any demos, like if you got even new furniture, right? Just show yourself unboxing the furniture and talking about it and how excited everyone is. A weekly tip, an idea, personalized thank yous. We've covered that. Oh my gosh, that's probably the best takeaway from all of this. If you thank people live and personally, it's just incredibly powerful. Telethon style types of fundraisers work really well. Challenges work well. And, just highlighting the people that you work with. Those are all really important stories and just kind of nuggets of information that people are craving. They want this information. They want to know who you are and
how they fit in your story.
Right.
They have to figure that out themselves. You can't tell them. Because for each person, it's going to be something different. And I want to circle back around to the breaking news, because that's what I kind of struggled with when they first put it out there. Because I was like, well, what breaking news do we have that, there's three street lights are broken and we can't afford to get the lift to fix the light. Like, I'm trying to think, what is breaking news for us? And so I was thinking, again, as you were talking, it kind of came to me. We just had, so the nonprofit that I work with is with transitional housing for homeless families. And so one of the neighboring cities just released new statistics that they have based on one of the school districts and how many children are homeless. And it's way worse than anyone thought. And I think it's those kind of things. Any statistics that impact the work that you do, that is breaking news for you. And the thing that's cool about this is we sit right in the middle of 3 different cities. So that was one city. There's still 2 other cities. Let's go get the statistics from them, or let's find out what they have and let's compare it and let's start a conversation. And some of the most engaged articles or posts that we've had on our Facebook page have been around those subjects, because one, typically those subjects for us, like homelessness, now you're looking at dealing with poverty, which is tied into the minimum wage, which is tied into the housing market. That's always somehow, that stuff's always tied into politics. And that stuff that people get real fired up about. And so they start interacting with each other, which is the gold right now on Facebook. It's not people interacting with you or your page. None of that matters anymore. It's people interacting with each other. So whenever
on your page.
Yes. So like for that post, for example, we literally had 2 ladies that got in a fight over the minimum wage change. And they were very polite because they knew they were on our page, and they agreed to disagree at the end. And I told my staff, stay out of it. None of this is for us to comment on. But that was gold, because as soon as Facebook saw that, they pushed that out further. And our page grew that day because people had never heard of House of Refuge, where now that was in their feed. And of course they had an opinion about it. And so it was terrifying for a moment, because I was like, where's this going to go? Am I going to have to delete something? But no, you just watch it play out, keep your staff out of it. And any type of stuff is gold, and everyone has an opinion about all of it. So if there's statistics like that, just be careful how you present them. You're not taking sides. You're just, these are the facts. This is what we're doing to combat it from our side. This is how you can help. But that could be gold. So those would what I would use for breaking news.
Okay.
Kind of went off on a tangent.
No, it's awesome.
That was one that just stumped me, because I was just like, well, what breaking news So if you were thinking like that, there you go. Okay, so we kind of just wrapped this up by, if you go to the show notes, we're not going to go over it here because the links and everything will be in the show notes. For if you're feeling like, all right, I got this down and I kind of want to upgrade my show a little bit, what are some lavalier microphones you recommend, or a tripod? And in fact, I just ordered the one that we suggested on here, so I will give some feedback on it. It got super high ratings. And then also some suggestions for lights and stuff. And I know we had a light kit on another episode as well. We can put the link back to this. This is actually a cell phone case I saw someone using at the conference, and was like, where did you get that? Because it lights up on both sides. So you have perfect lighting at the front. If you're doing it this way, it perfectly lights up your guests. So I'm definitely going to be getting that, but then also ended up being on one of the speakers' lists of things that you need to get if you're taking the show on the road. So we'll have that in the show notes as well.
Gosh, yeah. I think we're done.
It was a lot.
It was great. It was great. And we've enjoyed being with you on our podcast episode, Live Video 101 for today's nonprofits. Please, please, please take this seriously. Get going. Have fun with it. It really can be fun. Push the dang button, right?
Yeah, it's less scary the more you do it.
Exactly. We'll see you soon on our next episode. Bye.